Sadly, we report that actress Bea Arthur died yesterday at the age of 86. I had the pleasure of chatting with television's golden girl a few years ago, and this morning we'll revisit that visit.
Tonight, you lucky people. Oh, tonight I am out of the box, life-size.
When we last talked with her, Bea Arthur was opening on Broadway, where her long career had begun.
I'm staking my claim. Remember my name.
She told us she loved working on stage. But she's perhaps best loved by audiences for her work on television. The most golden of the Golden Girls.
I'm getting younger with each passing day.
Great, great. When they defrost Walt Disney, he'll have someone to go out with.
Later, an appreciation.
This is strictly off the record, but Dirk's nearly 5 years younger than I am.
In what, Blanche? Dog years?
It's Sunday morning on CBS, and here again is Charles Osgood.
Many of us remember Bea Arthur, who passed away yesterday at the age of 86, from the long-running TV series The Golden Girls. She won an Emmy for that series and another for her role as Maude. But long before that, Arthur was a successful actress on Broadway. When I talked with her in 2002, she was back on stage, revisiting old haunts and looking back.
Wow. Oh, my God, I see me. You see me?
There you are.
I can't imagine that that's me. To have your caricature in Sardi's. I mean, you've arrived.
Some people can thrive and bloom.
A familiar face is back on stage in the city where she started her remarkable show business career over 50, that's right, 50 years ago.
I was the star of the show, and that afternoon, I emoted. I mean, my bodice heaved. What can you get a nudist for her birthday?
Bea, how do you feel about being back on Broadway?
It is such a fantastic feeling, I can't tell you. It has been so many years. I try to tell myself that I'm not the least bit frightened. You know, it's just coming home again. But there's a little bit that says, oh, my God, I am coming home again, you know.
I'm staking my claim. Remember my name.
This time, she's doing exactly what she wants, even going barefoot. After all, it's her show.
And she said, oh, come on, Bea, don't be silly. Men love a big behind.
This is a little bit different, isn't it? I mean, you're playing a character, but this time it's you.
Me, yes.
Does it make you think about, well, how am I? How do I play myself?
That was the thing that I was a little afraid of, because I never felt very comfortable just being me, you know. It's fabulous because you get on stage, you can be anybody you want.
But Bea Arthur has never been just anybody.
Maud!
Edith!
She first entered America's living rooms in 1971 as the liberal thorn in Archie Bunker's side.
Now, you can either come to the table and eat, or you can lie there and feed off your own fat.
Immediately after that episode of All in the Family aired, producer Norman Lear got a call from the head of CBS.
He had called and said, that woman, he didn't remember her name, but that woman, that's a show. She's a show.
And then there's Maude.
Then there's Maude.
And then there's Maude.
The next season, Maude was a show. It ran for 6 years.
God'll get you for that one.
Thank you for being.
In 1985, Bea Arthur was in the top 10 again with The Golden Girls.
You know who my fantasy parents were?
Who, Blanche? Masters and Johnson?
She played Dorothy Zbornak, the brassy master of the perfectly placed barb.
It shows in the radio.
And then...
But offstage, Bea Arthur's a much different woman.
And I'm very vulnerable and very shy, and I don't want you to laugh at that, because it's true.
As verified by Norman Lear.
The woman is the antithesis of everything she's ever played, because she's extremely timid, extremely shy.
And I couldn't think of the next lyric. I went completely dry. I mean, I didn't even have the presence of mind to say, look, I'm so terribly sorry. May I begin again? I was so embarrassed. I just stood there. And then I said, oh, it. The man in the moon is a lady.
Bea Arthur touches a place of madness in her comedy that just absolutely adds time to my life.
She winks at the stars.
Lear first noticed Bea Arthur in her early days on the New York stage.
Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find
Her first big Broadway role was Yenta the Matchmaker in the original Fiddler on the Roof, directed by the legendary Jerome Robbins, one of the most respected, admired, feared, and hated men ever to work on Broadway. Was Robbins easy to work with?
How do you want me to answer that?
Truthfully.
I guess when you're dealing with genius, you have to put up with things that you might find offensive.
So you mean that's the reserved Bea Arthur talking.
No.
On stage, it's a different story.
He was really a dreadful human being. We'll always be bosom buddies.
In 1966, she won a Tony for playing Vera Charles, the always hungover sidekick of Mame.
She was inimitable.
Angela Lansbury was Mame.
And the two of us together were dynamite, you know. I mean, we really managed to just take off like birds.
What's she like to work with?
Well, she's a very dear friend of mine. They don't come any better.
Of course, once I got to know her, I came to realize she has a mouth like a longshoreman. No.
Few performers achieve the kind of success Bea Arthur has, but there's a price to be paid beyond the
Yes.
hours that you have to work.
Yes.
I mean, what sort of sacrifices, for example?
Oh, no, very, very simply, the time. There's never time enough to be with family. It's like there's no respite at all if you're really terribly involved in it.
Let the chips fall where they may.
The involvement really paid off.
Whatever the line. But I hope you can hold back. We're very she's so fresh. Let's do a better one.
She found the holy grail of situation comedy, the ability to use humor to explore serious issues. Take Maud's decision to have an abortion.
In her late 40s, Maud became pregnant. One of the most hilarious moments in television is when she tells her friend Vivian, Rue McClanahan, that she's pregnant.
You've got to stop hitting yourself.
I can't, Vivian. The pain takes my mind off.
Off what?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I want you to have whatever it is you want. Does that include the baby?
And one of the most touching moments is at the end of the second episode, when she decides to have the abortion and has that conversation with her husband.
I think it would be wrong to have a child at our age.
Oh, so do I, Walter. Oh, Walter, so do I.
The similarity between me and the TV characters that I played, all three of us loved pricking bubbles and breaking taboos.
Just tell me, Walter, that I'm doing the right thing, not having the baby.
In the privacy of our own lives, you're doing the right thing.
I love you, Walter Finley.
We have played some small part in bringing certain issues to the viewing public for the very first time.
We never had that mother-daughter talk about sex.
The Golden Girls shattered preconceived notions about growing older.
I didn't realize that we were going to be allowed to go further with innuendo than we might have been allowed to go had we been in our 20s.
Rue McClanahan.
In the first place, I didn't think we were going too far. I just thought it was funny, humorous, witty.
How interesting it is to see how much has changed and how much hasn't changed.
Where do you start? How do you separate the present from the past?
Bea Arthur rarely spoke about the changes in her life off stage.
That didn't last. With bits of memory scattered here and there.
But on stage was a different story. She was married twice, had 2 sons with director Gene Saks, and was living in Los Angeles.
Our lives are tangled like the branches of a vine.
Why does somebody who is past conventional retirement age want to knock themselves out and travel around the country and stay up late at night? And
Actors don't retire. People who are in jobs that they don't like retire. You know, it's glorious.